As the cliche goes, April showers bring May flowers. But usually what comes after is the heat and dryness of summer. Hello again, Essay here. And before the hot weather of the holiday shows up, you should indulge in my new short story, The White Cat, a free exclusive on Substack. The links are down below in description. Join Margot Thompson, a beautiful stage actress and recent widow who finds salvation in the form of a white cat during a night of terror. While checking out my oddball thriller, remember that my Glitch series is still available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. The links are down below in the description. While you'll find my peculiar story about a white pussy entertaining, that doesn't mean I'm out of ideas. I still have more stories coming down the pike, so as long as I don't run into any mishaps, you'll see those stories as well. Now let's get back to the video. Hello again, Essay here. What is plastic surgery? Well, if anyone who's watched enough Hollywood films probably already knows. Anyone who's probably seen Madonna recently definitely knows. But the funny thing is, plastic surgery wasn't always that. Indeed, according to the history books, plastic surgery has been around for a very long time. Indeed, it used to be called something else, physical augmentation or modification. Indeed, there's ancient texts going back to the ancient Egyptians. No joke. We're talking like back during the days of old Pharaoh, where they talked about body modification. Namely, people getting nose jobs. And you say how they pull that off? Don't rightly know. I mean, they didn't have anesthetics, didn't have proper tools. And then, of course, right now you're probably saying, what about all those damn mummies? Yeah, but those people were dead, okay? I mean, pulling someone's brains out of their nostrils is probably not too hard if the patient ain't wiggling as you do it, okay? But as far as other cultures, they also spoke about body modification. The Hindus, the Greeks, even the Romans. Of course, all of you are probably thinking, man, that must have been brutal. Oh, no kidding. Yeah. Even during the time of the Renaissance, you know, what they called it, the Enlightened period in Europe. Yeah. 16th century, they had books talking about body modification. And you say, man, these people must have been on the ball, huh? Or maybe they were just talking about could've, would've, should've. However, modern plastic surgery is fairly new. Indeed, one of the first aspects of what we call modern body modification or modern plastic surgery only came about in the aftermath of the First World War. You know, people who came out of that war missing arms, missing legs, part of their faces are gone. I mean, anyone who remembers that old book, Johnny Got His Gun, which came out in the 1930s, it was about a World War I veteran who basically had all his arms and his legs and part of his face missing. Could say, okay, those people definitely need plastic surgery. But then it only became a cosmetic fad after Hollywood got a hold of it. Indeed, I remember as a kid reading about how Phyllis Diller, a bit before your time, but she was this comedian, actually pretty funny, you know. I used to see her on the TV back in the 70s. And indeed, one of her more funnier films was this crazy stop motion film called Mad Monster Party. You should look it up sometime. It's hilarious. Really goofy film. it was a kiddie film, but still was pretty goofy. Yeah, she spoke about how she had multiple facelifts and face tucks and whatnot, but it was all part of like a gag. And then I remember reading long after that she wasn't joking. Apparently, she had issues with her face. Something wrong with the muscle tissues in her face. And indeed, new techniques that didn't exist before were created just to fix her face. And this was like in the middle 20th century, 1950s, 1960s. But this video is really not about the history of plastic surgery. This video is about what's going on right now. And indeed, the world of body modification has clearly gone off the rails. Now I'm going to show you this video from Tim Pool, and he talks about some people who clearly have lost the plot. Okay, are you ready? Here we go.
I'm old enough to remember Dove Real Beauty campaign and body positivity. And now I'm kind of wondering if we should have just celebrated morbid obesity, because what we're getting now is horrifying and substantially worse. I saw this story in the Daily Mail. Andrea Ivanova, 26, says she has the world's biggest lips. Her lips are so big she can't even close her mouth. And it is horrifying. I feel bad for this woman. She is clearly suffering from some kind of psychological issue where she has an addiction to hurting herself. I want to stress this point, my friends. Do you know what pica is? Because I've mentioned it several times. I think it's a great example of psychological disorders, mental disorders. Pica is when someone eats things that are not food. There are people with a compulsion to eat hair. Some people eat pennies, whatever. Don't. And there's this more well-known story about the one who ate her hair, clumped up in her stomach, creating a blockage, and she had to get surgery to pull it out. And there are some people who instinctively peel their skin and eat their skin and just other horrifying things. This is no different. This woman has body dysmorphia and will never be satisfied. She will keep doing this. She has been warned by her doctors that if she does more, she could die. She keeps doing it. She says, my doctor said that it's very important to have filler in these areas, as if there is none, then over the years my face will look aged. She's saying now that after she got the world's biggest lips, she got nose filler to make her nose bigger on the sides to even things out. She had the soluble substance injected into either side of her nose to avoid looking aged to preserve her youthful face. There was a viral video of a woman saying, asking her audience on Instagram, how old do they think she is? And they said 50. She was 26. Why? She got lip injections and fillers in her cheeks and in her nose and in her mouth. And so she looked like, like the weird scrunched face. Here's the thing. Typically, plastic surgery was getting done by women who were like 50 or some odd years old, late 40s. So when a young woman gets the same surgery and ends up looking like these other women, people assume she must be old. And she was shocked. But this is what's happening. Selfie culture is driving people to get plastic surgery so they look like filtered photos. Social media is frying people's brains. America's teens are already planning to get plastic surgery, and they are. They're doing it. They're trying to look like filters. They're getting lip fillers. And I'm going to say this. I try not to be too crass when I talk about this stuff. I try to be respectful sometimes. I'll call leftist cultists and things like that. But lip fillers are disgusting. 100% in my view, I am repulsed by them. If I see a woman, anybody, with lip injections and cheek plants, it is repulsive to me. By all means, live your life. Do what you want to do. I got no beef, right? I also find makeup to be gross as well. It smells weird, and it's just, ugh. Blech. There are certain women who understand a light touch with makeup goes unnoticed, but noticed, if you know what I mean. Guys won't notice you're wearing makeup if you do it just right, and that natural look tends to be better. At least maybe for my generation. But now what we're seeing with social media is that young women are getting their faces injected and plastered up, and they're starting to look like the Joker. Here's Newsweek. Teenagers are already planning for the plastic surgery procedures they want done, a new report from a vitamin and supplement company Thorne found. When surveying a group of 13 to 17-year-olds, 1 in 4 say they plan to get cosmetic surgery to combat the appearance of aging. That is so weird. And surprisingly, boys are much more likely to let the fear of aging get to them. 1 in 5, or 20% of boys, said they plan on cosmetic surgery compared to just 17% of girls. However, the number of teens planning a life with plastic surgery was far higher than the national average, which hovered just above 6%. This next generation is going to be reconfigured surgically. Transhumanism, baby. Psychology expert says the fixation on aging might come down to how that group uniquely grew up amid social media. Thanks to social media, they've been exposed to ever-changing and impossible to achieve beauty standards for quite some time, and far sooner than the generations before them, Thorne CEO Colin Watts told Newsweek. However, the data shows we are starting to see these standards are not just skin deep. The fear of aging is notably more distinct among young people who continue to see that society puts a premium on youth. Websites like Instagram and TikTok routinely feature filters and editing tools to create largely fake but convincing beauty standards. I think we are only scratching the surface when it comes to seeing all the layers of impact growing up in an era of social media that social media has on the brain and developing psyche. Licensed psychologist Lindsay Jernigan told Newsweek, in the age of social media, every moment is potentially public. We don't just look in the mirror and see ourselves, we imagine what hundreds of thousands of others might see.
Okay, you saw that, right? Now, some of you my age can probably are thinking Michael Jackson. Yeah, I'm thinking that too. Because I remember Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5. Yeah. ABC 1, 2, 3. Or Off the Wall, that last album he made before Thriller came out. That really huge one. And he seemed like a normal, level-headed person. Good singer. Very good dancer. Okay, let's not even pretend. But then something happened to him. I mean, because after that Thriller album came out, anyone who was paying attention noticed his features started to change. He started getting lighter. And there was something funny about his nose. His nose started changing. And indeed, anyone who remembers that criminal trial he was in back in the 90s when all those little kids were basically complaining about, him doing naughty stuff. Anyone who was paying attention to that criminal trial was looking at his nose, and it's like his nose was opening up on camera. And you could see something poking out of it. It was the strangest thing ever. And I remember seeing that, and I was wondering, what's wrong with Michael's nose? And then that's when I found out that he apparently had gotten the body modification bug. I mean, the guy was constantly, working on his face. And I remember some people accusing him of trying to be a white man. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I would go that far, but he clearly kept going under a knife and wouldn't stop. And indeed, I remember it was some news program, it may have been 2020. You don't know what it is. It used to be on ABC. It was a thing back in the 80s and 90s. And they talked about that apparently he had so many modifications to his nose that the tissue, the various cartilage and whatnot that's in your nose was probably falling apart. In other words, there was probably more scar tissue than there was normal tissue there anymore, and it was mostly fake, a fake nose. Now, of course, before you even mention the ghoul from that Fallout TV series, because Michael Jackson's nose did not fall off completely. I mean, man, that oh good grief, could you imagine that shit? Him being on stage doing one of his routines and then the nose just pops off. Oh, good Lord. Man, talking about going to a Michael Jackson show, end up in a horror movie. Yeah, but still, this people who are just constantly getting surgery after surgery after surgery. I mean, the problem is not their face, okay? The problem is their brain. These people clearly, something is wrong with them. And yet you have clearly a bunch of plastic surgeons who, instead of saying, hold on, wait a minute, you've had too many surgeries, or hold on, wait a minute, I think your breasts are too big. I mean, you can't walk around with big old cassava melons for a chest, okay? I mean, that's just not allowed. No, these damn doctors who clearly have thrown their Hippocratic oath out the window are taking these people's money and just doing what devil may care to them. And that's just wrong. I mean, it's just plain wrong. And of course, some of you say, well, plastic surgeon's not a real doctor. Actually, they are. Okay? They went to medical school, they went through the training, but instead of becoming a cardiologist or an OBGYN or even a gynecologist, they decided to go into plastic surgery. Why? Because that's where the money is. Don't believe me? Go up there to Hollywood and go up to one of those damn clinics and you see those damn Bentleys parked out front. Well, guess what? They're not parked out front because there was no parking down at the Ivy restaurant down the street. Nope. All those damn Bentleys and then damn Rolls Royces, they belong to the doctors, okay? That tells you right there, they're making bank. They're making serious bank. Now, of course, if in a different universe, if I wasn't allergic to blood and guts, I probably would have been a surgeon myself, but that's just me. So what can be done about it? Well, if we had a medical board in this country that was functional, a lot of these people we brought up for investigation. Because if you're a surgeon, a good surgeon, someone who I will go as far as to say board certified, you shouldn't be sitting there putting clown lips on your customers just because they pay you very well. You need to say, okay, wait a minute, Miss Hassenfrass from Hackensack, New Jersey. I mean, I already worked on your face 8 or 9 times already, and you're beginning to look like Bozo the Clown. Except this is not makeup, that's your actual face. And while you pay me very well, in good conscience, I can't work on your face anymore. I mean, it's just wrong. Now, if some of these doctors, in fact, more than some of these doctors had said that, a lot of this, this clown show stuff that you're seeing wouldn't be happening. Indeed, if all those damn surgeons had told Michael Jackson the same thing back in the 20th century, he wouldn't be up there on stage with his nose peeling open. Then again, what can you say? A long time ago, someone a lot smarter than me said, when money talks, integrity walks. And when it comes to people in the plastic surgery business, and let's not pretend, it is a business, at least they've basically thrown ethics out the window. They say, give me the money. Or as Cuba Gooding Jr. famously said in that Tom Cruise film, show me the money. And that's just wrong. It really is. Plain wrong. Well, that's all I have to say about these damn doctors and their lack of ethics. That's my opinion.